I'm off to Germany and I'm going to take you with me, but before we head to the airport, I want to tell you about a bunch of films I've been watching and a bunch of movies that I bought at the thrift store, and then we'll hop in an Uber and take a trip together. I've never been to Germany. I'm really excited. So I want to start out with the films that I watched this past, 2 weeks. Lords of Salem, I mentioned that in my last vlog that I was excited to watch this, but also scared because there hasn't really been a single Rob Zombie movie that's done it for me. I think this is it. The story is about a woman at a radio station who gets a record in the mail, and the record, when played, affects certain women around the town. And especially it affects our lead character, which links her mentally and physically to the time of the Salem witch trials. And this whole thing takes place in Salem. It's kind of like a beautiful love letter to the back alleyways and the kind of rundown buildings of Salem. I think it's one of the better witch movies that's out there. It scared me on a different level than most witch movies do. It wasn't campy at all. It was that like naked in the woods doing witchcraft around the fire sort of thing, and man, it spooked me to my core. It has the grit of every Rob Zombie film, where at times it feels like they didn't even use any movie lighting. Unfortunately, it still has the sexual assault that Rob Zombie almost always insists in having in his movies. I don't think it's needed. I think the film was really great without that singular moment. But all in all, it was a super spooky and psychedelic at times movie, and it felt like the old witch stories that you used to hear legends of in storybooks. A couple of nights ago in my Discord, which is linked through my Patreon group, we watched No One Will Save You. We did a group watch and it was super fun. Everybody was texting their ideas the entire time in the thread, and we're going to be doing a lot more of those. But this movie is a mostly dialogue-free film that follows one young woman as she deals with an alien invasion. I love the idea that it merged the idea of aliens with like poltergeist activity in the home. Made it extra spooky and made for a lot of like really great lighting effects and practical effects. At first I was disappointed by the CGI of the aliens, but I loved where it ultimately went, and like 10 minutes after that first initial like letdown, I was fully bought in because I saw what they were doing with it. It was really scary, it was action-packed, and it was a great showcase of talent, from the cinematography to the acting, the set design, the lighting, and the score. The score was incredible. And when you have a movie that has no dialogue, you really rely on that score to kind of carry you through it. All around, I think it's a brilliant film. We don't have a lot of those when it comes to alien films, and I was nervous to watch it, and ultimately to be this happy with it. I think it's one of the better films of the entire year. Okay, so I watched Army of Darkness for the first time. I had it on at a party in college one time, and I remember some of the imagery, but I had never really sat down and watched it, and holy moly, this thing is wild. If you're not familiar, it's the third installment of Evil Dead. It goes even further than the second one did, with slapstick, bizarro comedy, and over-the-top practical effects. This is Sam Raimi making his Monty Python film. It is so silly and yet scary at times, and really creative. Has elements of like Jason and the Argonauts and all of these classic stop motion kind of thriller adventure films, all packed into an Evil Dead universe with Ash at the forehead. I love the way it was shot. It's so unique to Sam Raimi's filming style and chock full of badassness. And this is where we get most of our iconic quotes from the Evil Dead franchise. It's not my favorite of the Evil Dead franchise, speaking of which. I haven't seen the show, but I think tied for first for me are Evil Dead 2 and the 2013 remake, which is by and far my favorite installment, which I know can't exist without the original Evil Dead, but as far as scary movies go, nothing scared me like the 2013 version, and nothing really changed my view of filmmaking than the part 2, so I feel like I could just talk in circles all day about that. I also finally checked out HeBGBTV, which was sent to me, and this is like Pee-wee's Playhouse meets Freaked meets Weird Al's UHF. And this is going to be attractive to a very specific person who knows what all of those things are. But basically, a cable box comes to town and it's there to take over the minds of the town. And it's an anthology filled with commercials and infomercials and news stories and candy bag vaudeville shows and late night romance, all from creatures of the night. This was a passion project that started as a mixed media live show and turned over the years into this beast of an anthology. This film is all practical effects from puppets to heavy-duty makeup and musical numbers, and it's made by weekend warriors, indie filmmakers putting in sweat equity and getting their project made by all means possible. Perfect for a group Halloween watch, and also perfect to have on in the background at a party. It's a colorful, creative montage of madness. And then finally, I actually watched Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds for the first time, and I gotta say, it's absolutely iconic. Of course, I've seen lots and lots of clips over the years and, TV shows and all of that referencing the history of horror, and I really haven't seen enough of Hitchcock's films, but I gotta say the production value is still so high for something made in 1963. The scene with the exploding gas station and the phone booth is just cinematic brilliance. On the downside, the pacing is pretty slow. In 1963, I guess we hadn't evolved past needing to see someone drive up to a place, park, get out of the car, walk across the parking lot just to start the scene, but that doesn't matter because the good parts are so good. I mentioned at the beginning my recent thrift store haul, so here's the video. Okay, super quick installment here. Cookie and I went to the thrift store last night and I picked up some new films for my collection. Nerve, it's one of those Would You Rather sort of movies. Hunchback of Notre Dame with Lon Chaney. Adding this to my collection of early haunts. A couple of weeks ago, I found Supernatural. The only one I didn't find was season 4. I found it. I am big into sci-fi and I'm always looking for underground sci-fi movies that I haven't heard of before. So Android Apocalypse. No idea. Knowing? Okay, I know. But there's this shot in this film that I'm pretty sure, if I remember from the theater, it's like he's looking up and you track an airplane coming all the way down and crashing on the other side. And I love a disaster movie. Speaking of which, War of the Worlds, but this one's from 1952. I haven't seen this one and I'm excited. Look at that. Look at the comforting happening. Look at the warriors. Look at all this. I'm so excited. One of the greatest thrillers of all time. Yes, Insomnia. If you haven't seen this, early Chris Nolan, it's so good. Brick, I've never seen it. I read the back. It sounds really good. Hollow Man 2, I don't want to talk about it. It has Christian Slater in it, so I'm giving it a shot, but it looks terrible, but it has this nice reflective cover. And this movie Felt. It's a feminist thriller about a woman on the edge as she struggles to cope with past trauma, abuse. It's like a revenge thing. Yeah, on the front it says, Felt gives rape culture what it deserves. I felt like that was worth buying. And in my video essay, I talked about the weird New Jersey magazines that I got. Well, at the thrift store last night, I found Weird California, and so I think we're gonna need to go on some adventures and find some of this stuff. All right, it's almost time to pack up and head to the airport. On the plane, I have a lot of writing to do, and then I plan to read a little bit, finish Hell on Mars, The World Wasn't Ready for You, and the upcoming sequel to Europa, which, by the way, Europa is still free until October 21st on Kindle. I highly recommend it. Now let's get on with the traveling.
This is baloney.
I have a message to relay to you. If you're thirsty while eating your pretzel sandwich, drink some milk. so cool. Ah. Toilet. Dude. Holy crow. I'm gonna be reading in this chair. I'm gonna be watching horror movies here. And what is this? Delicious is what it is. To be honest, I'm so tired I'll eat anything. Ooh, it smells like sugary and sweet and wonderful. Let's give this a little taste. Oh, it's apple. This pastry, lovely. Oh God, look at that. Moment of the apple right on top there. So hungry. Look at this ceiling. Oh, it's so good. Okay, here's the thing though. I am the one in charge of all the gear. So the room suddenly becomes very small. And especially once I open up and build all the cameras and all that stuff. But that is for another vlog. Oh man, what an adventure. And it hasn't even started yet. I'm in Dresden right now. I flew here from Frankfurt. I had a layover for an extra hour than I anticipated in the Frankfurt airport because we ended up having a delay. But I started my whole day in Los Angeles this morning, yesterday. I don't even know. I finished my book on the flight and then I started Squid Game, which I'm blown away by. I know everybody got really into it when it first came out and I kind of put it off because of that, because I felt like it was a little bit too popular, if that makes sense. I'm on the 4th episode, I think, because I did a lot of writing on the plane too. I was writing a short film and I tried to sleep a little bit, which went okay. And now I'm gonna watch one more episode of Squid Game and I'm going to transfer all of my footage to my computer and then I'm going to pass out. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go hit the town, see Dresden. And then after that, we start filming for the documentary I'm here for. It's going to be a really fun week, but that is a vlog for a different time. If you like what you see, please hit subscribe. And remember, we're more likely to survive if we stick together. I'll see you next time.